My son wrote, "Don't count on me in your old age. I'm living my own life and I won't support you." I silently nodded and called the notary. The next morning, my son was standing at my doorstep. "Good day, dear listeners. It's Louisa again. I'm glad you're here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story till the end, and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. I had always believed that family was everything. For 37 years, I'd lived in the same two-story colonial house in suburban Connecticut, the one my late husband Thomas and I had bought when Derek was just a baby. The white picket fence, the maple tree in the front yard, the kitchen where I'd baked countless birthday cakes. This was my castle, my sanctuary, the physical embodiment of a life well lived. Thomas had been gone for 5 years now. Heart attack, sudden and merciless. But I'd managed. I had my routines: Tuesday book club, Thursday volunteering at the community center, weekend gardening. My pension from 30 years of teaching high school English was modest but adequate. I owned my home outright. I was 68 years old and fiercely independent. Derek was my only child. I loved him with that particular intensity that only children inspire, perhaps too much. He'd married Vanessa 3 years ago, a sharp-featured woman with designer handbags and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. I'd tried to like her. Really, I had. The first warning sign came 6 months ago. Derek had started visiting more frequently, but the conversations always circled back to the same topic: my house. "Mom, this place is too big for you now," he'd say, walking through the rooms with an appraising eye that reminded me of a real estate agent. "Have you thought about downsizing? The maintenance costs must be killing you." They weren't. But I'd smiled and changed the subject. Then came the questions about my finances. Casual at first. "Mom, do you have everything organized? Your will, your accounts?" Vanessa would chime in with saccharine concern. "We just want to make sure you're taken care of, Margaret." Taken care of? I'd been taking care of myself and Derek for decades. What did they think I was? Helpless. The visits increased. Derek would show up unannounced, sometimes with a locksmith, just to add better security, sometimes with contractors who'd give unsolicited estimates for repairs I hadn't requested. Vanessa started making comments about equity and smart investments and setting Derek up for success. I wasn't stupid. I'd taught literature for 3 decades. I knew foreshadowing when I saw it. But I'd kept quiet, watching, waiting, hoping I was wrong. Hoping my son, my baby boy who I'd raised alone after Thomas worked himself into an early grave, wasn't circling me like a vulture. Then came last Tuesday. I'd been in my kitchen, making chicken soup when my phone buzzed. A text from Derek. I'd put on my reading glasses, expecting maybe a request for my pot roast recipe or a quick "love you, Mom." Instead, I read, "Don't count on me in your old age. I'm living my life and I won't be supporting you." I stood there, wooden spoon in hand, steam from the soup rising around me like ghosts. The words blurred. I read them again and again. My chest tightened, not from shock, from recognition. This was it. The mask had slipped. Whatever pretense of filial affection had remained was gone, burned away by these cold, brutal words. But what had I done to deserve this? I'd never asked him for money, never asked to move in, never burdened him with anything except perhaps too much love. Or had I? Had I somehow suggested I expected him to care for me? Was I becoming the needy, demanding mother I'd always sworn I'd never be? Number 1, I knew the truth. This wasn't about anything I'd done. This was about what I had. A house worth $700,000 in today's market? This was about my savings account, my pension, my assets. I set down the spoon with deliberate calm. My hand was steady. Good. I needed to be steady now. I didn't respond to the text. Instead, I wiped my hands on my apron, picked up my phone again, and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I needed. Goldstein and Associates Law Firm. The receptionist answered. Yes, I said, my voice clear and cold. I need to make an appointment with a notary. It's regarding my will and estate planning. I scheduled it for the next morning. That night, I barely slept. But when dawn broke, I was showered, dressed in my navy blazer, and waiting at the kitchen table with my documents organized in a manila folder. The doorbell rang at 8:30 a.m. I wasn't expecting visitors. I walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. Derek stood on my porch, Vanessa beside him, both wearing expressions of concern that looked rehearsed. I unlocked the door and opened it slowly. "Mom," Derek said, his voice bright with false warmth. "We need to talk." I didn't step aside to let them in. Not immediately. I stood in the doorway, hand on the frame, studying my son's face. When had he learned to lie so smoothly? Or had he always been this way, and I'd simply refused to see it? "It's early, Derek," I said quietly. I know. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I recognized from his childhood when he'd been caught in some small transgression. "I sent that text last night, and—" "Mom, I didn't mean it. I was stressed about work, and Vanessa and I had been talking about the future, and I just—" "Snapped?" I supplied, my tone neutral. Vanessa stepped forward, her perfume too sweet in the morning air. "Margaret, Derek feels terrible. We both do. We came over first thing to apologize." I looked at her, really looked at her. The Burberry scarf, the Coach bag, the fresh manicure. Derek worked in middle management at an insurance company. His salary was good, but not extravagant. Yet Vanessa dressed like old money. Where was that money coming from? "Come in," I finally said, stepping back. They followed me into the living room. I sat in Thomas's old armchair. I still thought of it as his, even after 5 years, and folded my hands in my lap. They took the sofa, sitting too close together, a united front. Derek leaned forward, elbows on knees, giving me his earnest expression. "Mom, I'm sorry, really. I was out of line." "What made you think," I asked slowly, "that I would ever ask you to support me?" He blinked. "What?" "No, Mom, I didn't mean—" "Those were your words, Derek. Don't count on me in your old age. I won't be supporting you." "Why would you think I expected that?" Vanessa jumped in. "Margaret, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We've just been worried about you, here in this big house all alone. We want to help you plan for the future. Help me plan. Help me plan away my independence, my assets, my home." I stood up. "I appreciate your concern, but I have an appointment this morning. You'll need to excuse me." Derek frowned. "An appointment? With who?" "My attorney." The silence that fell was profound. I watched their faces carefully. Derek went pale. Vanessa's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Your attorney?" Derek repeated. "Why do you need—" "Mom, what's going on?" "Estate planning," I said crisply. "Your text last night made me realize I've been remiss in keeping my affairs in order. I'm remedying that today." I could see the panic flickering behind Derek's eyes. Vanessa's hand found his knee, squeezed. A signal. "Mom, you don't need to rush into anything," Derek said quickly. "Why don't we sit down together, all of us, and talk about this? We're family. We should make these decisions as a family." As a family. What a beautiful phrase. What a hollow lie. "I'll keep you informed," I said, moving toward the front door. They had no choice but to follow. At the threshold, Derek turned back. "Mom, please, don't do anything hasty. Let's just talk. Really talk. This weekend, okay? We'll come over, we'll have dinner like we used to. I looked at him. This man who I'd nursed through chickenpox and taught to ride a bike and sent to college with my own hands. When had he become a stranger? We'll see, I said, and closed the door. I leaned against it, my heart hammering. My hands were shaking now, the tremor I'd suppressed while they were here. Fear coursed through me, cold and sharp. What was I doing? This was my son, my only child. But that text, those words, the way they'd shown up here, so quickly, so desperate to control the narrative. I pushed away from the door and walked to my bedroom. From the closet, I pulled down a cardboard box I hadn't opened in months. Inside were bank statements, insurance policies, the deed to the house, Thomas's will, my own outdated will from 15 years ago. I spread them across my bed and started to calculate. The house, worth approximately $700,000, fully paid off. My pension, $1,800 a month. Social Security, another $1,600. Savings account, $72,000. Thomas's life insurance policy, invested wisely, another $150,000. I was worth, all told, just over $1 million. A million reasons for a greedy daughter-in-law to smile at me. A million reasons for my son to suddenly care so much about my future. I sat on the edge of the bed. These papers representing my life's work spread before me. Thomas and I had been so careful, so prudent. We'd saved and planned and sacrificed so Derek would never want for anything. And now he wanted everything. Number one straightened my spine. Not if I could help it. At the law office, I met with Margaret Goldstein, a sharp woman in her 50s who listened to my story without interruption. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Mrs. Barrett, I want to be very clear. Changing your will is absolutely your right. But I need to ask, is anyone coercing you, pressuring you? No, I said firmly. I'm doing this to prevent coercion. She nodded slowly. Tell me what you want. I told her. She took notes, asked clarifying questions, and then drafted a new will on the spot. I read it carefully, twice, before signing. When I left her office an hour later, I had a plan. It wasn't complete yet. I needed more information, more preparation. But the foundation was laid. Derek called that afternoon. I let it go to voicemail. He called again that evening. Voicemail. 3 more calls over the next 2 days. On Thursday, Vanessa called from Derek's phone. Margaret, it's Vanessa. Derek's really worried about you. He thinks maybe you're upset, and we just want to make sure everything's okay. Can you please call us back? I didn't. Instead, I called my friend Patricia from book club. We'd known each other for 20 years since our sons were in Little League together. Pat, I said, I need advice. Legal advice. Your daughter's a lawyer, isn't she? Patricia's daughter, Jennifer, met me at a coffee shop downtown on Friday morning. She was a family law attorney, she'd explained over the phone, and while estate planning wasn't her specialty, she knew enough to guide me and could refer me to experts if needed. She was younger than Derek, maybe 35, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I liked her immediately. Mrs. Barrett, she said after I'd explained the situation, I want you to know that what you're experiencing is unfortunately common. Adult children, especially those married to financially aggressive spouses, can become very interested in their parents' assets. So I'm not paranoid? Not even a little. She sipped her coffee. That text Derek sent? That's what we call a tell. He's revealing his intentions, probably without meaning to. And the fact that they showed up the next morning, they're monitoring you. My stomach clenched. Monitoring. Not in a sinister way, necessarily. But they're paying close attention to your actions, your decisions. When you mentioned the attorney, you scared them. That's good, actually. It means you have leverage. What should I do? Jennifer pulled out a legal pad. First, document everything. Every text, every call, every conversation. Keep a journal with dates and times. Second, secure your assets. Make sure all your accounts require your signature alone. No joint accounts with Derek, no authorized users. Third, consider a living trust instead of just a will. What's the difference? A will goes through probate, which is public and can be contested. A trust is private and much harder to challenge. You can specify exactly how your assets are distributed, and you maintain complete control while you're alive. I absorbed this. And if I want to disinherit Derek? Jennifer didn't flinch. That's your legal right. But I'd recommend a different approach. Leave him something, not nothing. But make your primary beneficiaries people or organizations that align with your values. It sends a message, and it's harder to claim undue influence if you're thinking clearly enough to make multiple specific bequests. We talked for another hour. By the time I left, I had a list of action items and the name of a trust attorney Jennifer recommended. That afternoon, I went to my bank. The manager, a pleasant man named Robert Chen, who I'd known for years, welcomed me into his office. "Mrs. Barrett, what can I do for you today?" "I need to review all my accounts," I said, "every single one. And I need to know if anyone else has access to them." His smile faltered slightly. "Of course. Let me pull up your profile." He typed, clicked, scrolled. Then his expression changed. Subtle, but I caught it. "Mrs. Barrett, I see here that your son Derek was added as an authorized user on your checking account about 4 months ago." The coffee I'd drunk earlier turned to acid in my stomach. "What?" "Yes, it shows he came in with you and—" He scrolled further. "Oh. No, I apologize. It says you called and authorized it over the phone. Do you not remember doing that?" "I never called to do that," I said flatly. "I would never do that." Robert's face went very still. "I see. Mrs. Barrett, I need to ask, is it possible someone impersonated you?" "Can you check the phone number the call came from?" More typing. "It came from your home phone number." My home phone. The landline I still kept, mostly out of habit. The landline Derek had the number for. The landline that— I closed my eyes. "Can you tell me if there's been any unusual activity on that account?" Robert hesitated. "I shouldn't share transaction details without proper—" "Robert, someone accessed my account fraudulently. I need to know if they've stolen from me." He pulled up the statement. His finger traced down the screen. "There haven't been any withdrawals, but there are regular transfers, small ones, $50 here, $75 there. Going to an account at—" He squinted. "First National. That's not one of our branches." "How much total?" He calculated. "Over the past 4 months? About $3,000. $3,000. Not enough to alarm me if I'd noticed, just small enough to hide among my regular expenses. Death by 1,000 cuts. I want him removed immediately," I said. "And I want to close this account and open a new one. Today." "Absolutely. I'll also file a fraud report." "No," I interrupted. "Not yet. I need to handle this my way first." Robert looked uncomfortable but nodded. "As you wish. But Mrs. Barrett, if this is elder financial abuse, there are resources—" "I know, and I'll use them when I'm ready. For now, just secure my accounts. All of them." It took 2 hours. New accounts, new account numbers, new passwords, new PINs. I left the bank with fresh paperwork and a burning fury in my chest. $3,000. He'd been stealing from me. Small amounts, but stealing nonetheless. I drove home in a daze. In my kitchen, I made tea with shaking hands and sat at the table, staring at nothing. My phone rang. Derek. I stared at his name on the screen. Derek, with a little heart emoji I'd added years ago. I answered, "Mom, finally, I've been so worried. Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Derek." "You haven't been returning my calls? I thought maybe something happened." "I've been busy." A pause. "Busy with what?" "Personal matters." Another pause. Longer. I could almost hear him calculating. "Mom, about what I said the other day about your attorney. I didn't mean to upset you. I just think we should make decisions together, as a family. Can Vanessa and I come over this weekend? Maybe Sunday dinner?" Sunday dinner. The ritual we'd kept for years, me cooking Derek's favorite meals while he and Vanessa sat in my dining room like visiting royalty. "I don't think so, Derek." "Mom, I need some space right now." "Space? From what? Mom, you're not making sense. Are you feeling okay? Have you been taking your medications?" There it was. The implication. The suggestion that I wasn't thinking clearly, that I was incompetent, that I needed to be managed. "My medications," I said coldly, "are none of your concern. I'm perfectly healthy, mentally and physically, and I'll call you when I'm ready to talk." "But Mom," I hung up. My hands were steady now. The fear had burned away, leaving only clarity. That evening, I opened my laptop and started a document. At the top, I typed, "Evidence log." Below it, I began to write. The date Derek was added to my account. The amounts and dates of the unauthorized transfers. The text message. The unexpected visit. Every detail, every interaction. This was war, and I was going to win. Monday morning, I met with David Reichman, the trust attorney Jennifer had recommended. His office overlooked Long Island Sound, all glass and steel and expensive art. He was in his 60s, silver-haired, with the quiet confidence of someone who'd seen every family drama imaginable. I laid out everything. The text, the unauthorized bank access, the pattern of manipulation, my fears about what might come next. He listened without interruption, then said simply, "Let's build you a fortress." Over the next week, we constructed what he called an ironclad estate plan, a revocable living trust with me as trustee, my house, my accounts, my investments, all transferred into the trust. Upon my death, the trust would dissolve and distribute assets according to my wishes. Derek would receive $50,000, a token, a message. The bulk of my estate, over $900,000, would be divided among 3 charities: the local library where I'd spent so many happy hours, a scholarship fund for underprivileged students in Thomas's name, and a women's shelter. "This is airtight," David assured me. "And because you're clearly of sound mind, acting of your own free will, and not disinheriting him completely, it would be nearly impossible to contest." "Good," I said. But the plan went further. I also established a power of attorney, not for Derek, but for Patricia. She'd agreed immediately when I asked, angry on my behalf about what Derek had done. "If something happens to me," I told David, "if I become incapacitated, I want someone I trust making decisions, not my son." "Understood." The paperwork was finalized on Thursday. I signed everything, had it notarized, and walked out with copies in my bag. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt exhausted. That evening, Derek and Vanessa showed up at my door. Unannounced again. I'd been making dinner, just scrambled eggs for one, and I considered not answering. But running wouldn't solve anything. I opened the door. "Mom," Derek said, his voice tight, "we need to talk. Now." "It's not a good time." Vanessa pushed past me into my house. Actually pushed past me, her shoulder bumping mine. Derek followed, his face flushed. "You've been avoiding us for 2 weeks," he said. "What the hell is going on?" I closed the door slowly, anger rising. "You come into my home uninvited and ask me that? This is serious, Mom." Derek was pacing now, agitated. I got a call from the bank. They said you closed your accounts, all of them. And when I tried to access the checking account to check on you, I was locked out. To pay for what, Derek? I asked quietly. He stopped pacing. What? You said to pay for. What were you planning to pay for with my money? His mouth opened and closed. Vanessa stepped in smoothly. Margaret, Derek has been helping you manage your expenses. You're getting older, and sometimes bills slip through the cracks. He's been making sure everything's taken care of by stealing $3,000 from me. The room went silent. Derek's face went from red to white. Stealing? Mom, I wasn't stealing. That money was I was managing things for you. Things I didn't ask you to manage. Money I didn't authorize you to take. That's called theft, Derek. Vanessa's mask finally slipped. Her eyes went cold, calculating. You ungrateful. We've been trying to help you. Do you know how much time and energy we've invested in making sure you're taken care of? And this is how you repay us? By securing my own assets? Yes, that's exactly how I repay you. Derek slammed his hand on my kitchen counter. God damn it, Mom! What did you do? What did you change? My estate plan, my accounts, my future. All mine, Derek, not yours. Vanessa stepped closer to me, her voice dropping to something dangerous. You're making a very big mistake, Margaret. A very big mistake. Derek is your son, your only family. If you cut him out, you'll die alone in this house and no one will find you for days. Is that what you want? Is that a threat? I kept my voice level, though my heart was racing. It's reality, she hissed. You need us more than we need you. So I suggest you reconsider whatever spiteful little changes you've made and restore Derek's access to your accounts. Otherwise what? I interrupted. You'll stop pretending to care about me? You'll stop visiting? Please, Vanessa, do me the favor. Derek grabbed her arm. Van, stop. Just stop. He turned to me, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw something like genuine pain in his eyes. Mom, I know I screwed up. The text, the account, all of it. But I'm your son. Don't I deserve a chance to make this right? You deserve exactly what you've earned, I said. Now please leave my house. Mom, leave, now, or I'll call the police. Vanessa's laugh was sharp and ugly. Call them. Tell them your son visited you. See how that goes. But Derek was already pulling her toward the door. Come on, we're leaving. At the threshold, Vanessa turned back. This isn't over, Margaret, not by a long shot. The door slammed. I stood in my kitchen, listening to their car start, listening to it pull away. Then my legs gave out. I sank into a chair, shaking all over. I'd faced them down. I'd stood my ground. But Vanessa was right about one thing. This wasn't over. The next 3 days I did nothing but rest. I unplugged my landline. I put my cell phone on Do Not Disturb except for Patricia's number. I watched old movies, read books I'd been meaning to get to, and tried to quiet the constant anxiety thrumming through my body. Patricia came over on Saturday with soup and bread. We sat in my kitchen and she held my hand. You're doing the right thing, she said firmly. You know that, right? I know, I whispered. But it hurts. Of course it hurts. He's your son. But Margaret, listen to me. What they were doing to you, that's abuse. Financial abuse, emotional abuse. You don't owe them access to your life savings just because you gave birth to him. I nodded, tears finally coming. I just keep thinking about him as a little boy. So sweet. So loving. Where did that boy go? He grew up and married a woman who brought out his worst qualities. Some people are like that. They find our weaknesses and exploit them. I wiped my eyes. I'm tired, Pat. So tired. I know, but you're also winning. Don't forget that. The letter arrived on Tuesday. delivered by certified mail. I signed for it with a sense of dread, and that dread was justified the moment I opened it. It was from a law firm I'd never heard of, Baxter, Lynch and Associates. The letterhead was expensive, embossed. The message was clear. Dear Mrs. Margaret Barrett, we represent your son, Derek Barrett, and his wife, Vanessa Barrett. It has come to our client's attention that you have recently made substantial changes to your estate plan and financial accounts, while potentially under emotional distress and diminished capacity. Our clients are deeply concerned for your welfare and respectfully request that you submit to a medical evaluation to ensure you are capable of making such significant financial decisions. They also request that you restore Mr. Derek Barrett's rightful access to family accounts and reconsider the recent changes to your estate planning documents. Should you refuse to cooperate, our clients may have no choice but to petition the court for guardianship proceedings to protect your interests and ensure your assets are properly managed. We await your response within 7 business days. Sincerely, Richard Baxter, Esquire. I read it 3 times, my hands surprisingly steady. Guardianship. They were threatening to have me declared incompetent. I called David Reichman immediately. Margaret, he said after I read him the letter, this is a scare tactic, a common one, unfortunately. They're hoping you'll panic and reverse your decisions. Can they actually do this? They can file for guardianship, yes, but they'd need to prove you lack capacity, which is extremely difficult when someone is clearly coherent, has no diagnosis of dementia or mental illness, and is making rational decisions with professional legal guidance. You have me, your trust, your bank statements, your medical records. You're golden. So what do I do? Absolutely nothing. Don't respond. Let me handle it. I'll send them a letter making it clear that you're represented by counsel, you're of sound mind, and any guardianship petition will be vigorously contested. It'll cost them tens of thousands in legal fees to even try, and they'll lose. Trust me. I did trust him. But I also felt the noose tightening. On Wednesday, a different approach. Derek called from an unknown number. I answered without thinking. Mom, please don't hang up. His voice was soft, pleading. The Derek from childhood, the one who'd crawl into my lap after a nightmare. I'm listening, I said carefully. I fired the attorney. Vanessa was behind that letter, not me. I told her it was too much, that we needed to back off and let you breathe. Is that so? Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. The text, the money, everything. I got lost somewhere. Vanessa has these ideas about financial security and building wealth, and I let her influence me too much. I said nothing. Can we start over? Can I come see you? Just me, without Vanessa? Just to talk? I miss you, Mom. I miss my mother. Oh, he was good. I felt the tug on my heartstrings, the maternal instinct that wanted to forgive, to fold him back into my arms. But I'd learned to recognize manipulation now. Derek, do you know what the worst part of all this is? I asked. What? I can't tell if you mean any of this, or if this is just another strategy. Vanessa plays bad cop, you play good cop, and eventually I'm supposed to crumble and give you what you want. It's not like that, isn't it? You're still with her. You're still married to the woman who just threatened me. So either you're lying to me now, or you're too weak to stand up to her. Either way, I can't trust you. Silence. I love you, Derek. I always will. But I don't trust you anymore. And until that changes, if it ever changes, we don't have anything to talk about. I hung up. This time I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I felt cold, clear, certain. That evening, Patricia arrived with reinforcements, 3 other women from book club, Janet, Susan, and Marie. They came with wine and desserts and fierce loyalty. "We heard what's happening," Janet said, pulling me into a hug. "Patricia told us everything, and we're here for you." We sat in my living room, these women who I'd known for years, and I felt something loosen in my chest. I wasn't alone. "My sister went through this," Marie said. Her son tried to get power of attorney when she was recovering from surgery. Made it sound like he was helping. Turned out he'd racked up $60,000 in gambling debts. "What did she do?" I asked. "Cut him off completely. Best decision she ever made. He eventually got help, got clean, and now they have a relationship again. But it took him hitting rock bottom first." Susan nodded. "Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their choices." We talked for hours. They shared stories, offered advice, and mostly just listened. By the time they left, I felt fortified. Over the next week, I fell into a routine. Morning walks, lunch with friends, afternoons at the library, volunteering. I kept my phone on silent, except for my inner circle. Derek tried twice more. Once through email, a long, rambling message about family and forgiveness and how Thomas would have wanted us to stay together. Once through my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who caught me in my driveway to relay a message. Derek was worried. Could I please just call him? "Tell Derek I'm fine," I told Mrs. Chen, "and tell him I'll contact him when and if I'm ready." I was building a life without him. It hurt, but it was also liberating. Patricia came over one Saturday with news. Jennifer found something about Vanessa. What? She did some digging, publicly available information, all legal. Vanessa was married before Derek, to a man 20 years older. He died 2 years into their marriage, left her everything. About $500,000. My stomach dropped. She's done this before. Looks like it. The husband's family contested the will, claimed undue influence, but it settled out of court. Jennifer couldn't get the details, but the fact that it settled suggests there was smoke, even if they couldn't prove fire. Does Derek know? Who knows what Derek knows? But you need to. This is her pattern. I sat with that information. Vanessa hadn't just married Derek. She'd married his potential inheritance. And when my text had threatened that inheritance, she'd revealed her true nature. "I need to protect myself," I said. "Completely." "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time to make sure they can't hurt me anymore. Not financially, not legally, not emotionally." Patricia smiled grimly. "What do you need?" "A witness, several actually, and a plan." They showed up on Sunday morning. I was in my garden, pruning roses, when I heard the car. I looked up to see Derek's SUV pulling into my driveway. My first instinct was to go inside, lock the doors. But I'd prepared for this. I had my phone in my pocket, recording app ready. I had Patricia on speed dial. I was ready. Derek got out first, alone. He walked toward me slowly, hands visible, palms up. A gesture of peace. "Mom, please, just 5 minutes. That's all I ask." I set down my pruning shears. "Where's Vanessa?" "In the car. I asked her to wait. I wanted to talk to you, just you and me." I glanced at the SUV. I could see Vanessa in the passenger seat, her silhouette perfectly still. 5 minutes, I said. Derek came closer, stopping a respectful distance away. He looked tired, I noticed. Dark circles under his eyes, his face drawn. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he started, "about everything, about how I treated you, about the choices I've made." And you're right, about all of it. I let Vanessa influence me. I got greedy. I forgot what's really important. Family, love, the values you and Dad taught me. I waited. There had to be more. "I want to make amends," he continued. "I want to earn back your trust. I know I can't do it overnight, but if you give me a chance, I'll prove to you that I've changed." "How?" He blinked. How what? How will you prove it? I'll spend more time with you. We'll have dinners again like we used to. I'll help around the house. Whatever you need. And Vanessa? His jaw tightened. She's my wife, Mom. I can't just... she's part of my life. But I've talked to her. She understands she went too far. She wants to apologize too. As if on cue, the car door opened. Vanessa stepped out, and my skin prickled with warning. She walked toward us slowly, wearing a cream-colored dress and the expression of studied contrition. When she reached us, she even managed to produce tears. Margaret, I'm so sorry. Her voice was thick with emotion. Probably real emotion, I thought cynically. Anger at being thwarted. I was trying to help, to protect Derek's future, our future, and I lost sight of what matters. I lost sight of respecting you and your autonomy. Did you practice that? I asked. She flinched. What? That speech. Did you rehearse it, or does manipulation just come naturally to you? Her mask slipped for a fraction of a second, a flash of pure rage before she recovered. I deserve that. I do. I've behaved terribly. Derek put his hand on her shoulder. Mom, she means it. We both do. And we're here to ask, can you forgive us? Can we start fresh? By start fresh, you mean what exactly? I asked. What is it you want from me? Nothing, Derek said quickly. We don't want anything. We just want you back in our lives. Nothing? You don't want me to change my will back? Restore your access to my accounts? Hand over control of my assets? Vanessa's composure cracked further. Margaret, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because 2 weeks ago, you threatened me. You sent me a letter threatening guardianship proceedings. And now you're here. Tears and apologies, asking me to what? Forget all that? We withdrew the attorney, Derek said. I told you, I fired him. You fired one attorney. For all I know, you're planning to hire another. Vanessa stepped forward, her voice hardening. You know what your problem is, Margaret? You're bitter and alone, and you're punishing your own son because your husband is dead, and you have no one else to control. Vanessa, Derek started, but she was on a roll now, the mask completely gone. You're a miserable old woman who's going to die alone in this house, and you know what? You deserve it. Derek has given you everything, his love, his time, his patience, and you throw it back in his face. Well, fine. Keep your precious money. Hoard it like a dragon. But don't come crying to us when you're sick or scared or dying, and there's no one there to hold your hand. Are you finished? I asked calmly. She was breathing hard, her face flushed. Derek looked horrified. I think, I said, you both should leave now, and don't come back unless I invite you. Mom? Derek reached for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't contact me at all. I've secured my assets. I've secured my future, and I've made my peace with my decisions. You need to make peace with yours. Vanessa laughed, bitter, sharp. You're going to regret this. When you're alone and desperate, you'll regret every word. I doubt it, I said. But I guess we'll see. Derek's face crumpled. Mom, please, don't do this. I'm your son. I'm all you have. No, Derek, you're not all I have. I have myself, and that's enough. They left. Vanessa stormed to the car. Derek followed more slowly, turning back once with a look of such anguish that I almost called him back. But I didn't. I stood in my garden, watching them drive away, and felt the tremor start in my hands again. Fear, grief, doubt. Had I been too harsh? Was I destroying my relationship with my only child over money? No, not over money. Over respect, over dignity, over my right to live my final years on my own terms. I went inside and called Patricia. "They came," I said. "It went exactly as badly as expected. Are you okay?" "I'm scared," I admitted. "I'm scared I'm making a huge mistake." "You're not. Margaret, listen to me. You're doing something incredibly brave. You're setting boundaries. You're protecting yourself. That's not a mistake." I wanted to believe her. I did believe her. But the fear lingered. That fear, though, it crystallized into something else as the day wore on. Determination, resolve. They'd shown their true faces today. Vanessa's venom, Derek's weakness. I'd seen what I was really dealing with, and I wasn't going to back down. 3 weeks later, I received a summons. Derek and Vanessa were filing for guardianship after all. David called me immediately. "I have the petition. It's actually kind of pathetic, Margaret. They're claiming you have dementia, that you're making irrational decisions, that you're a danger to yourself." "On what evidence?" "Essentially, that you changed your will and cut off contact with them. That's it. No medical records, no doctor's statements, nothing substantive. So what happens now?" "There'll be a hearing. A judge will evaluate you, possibly order an independent medical examination. But Margaret, I'm not worried. You're going to walk into that courtroom and show them exactly how competent you are." The hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks out. That gave me time to prepare. I went to my doctor, Dr. Sarah Patel, who I'd seen for 15 years. I explained the situation and asked for a comprehensive evaluation. She was appalled. "Margaret, you're one of the sharpest people I know. You remember medication names I can't spell. You keep a detailed health journal. You're active and engaged. This is absurd." "I need it documented," I said. "Everything. Cognitive tests, physical exam, mental health screening. Whatever it takes to prove I'm sound." She ordered the works. When the results came back, she wrote a detailed letter for the court. "Mrs. Barrett demonstrates no signs of cognitive impairment, dementia, or diminished capacity. She is fully capable of managing her own affairs." I also had Jennifer, Patricia's daughter, prepare a dossier. Bank records showing the unauthorized transfers, copies of the threatening text and letter, a timeline of Derek and Vanessa's escalating behavior, and I had character witnesses. Patricia, Janet, Susan, Marie, Dr. Patel, even Robert Chen from the bank, who'd witnessed my clear-headed handling of the fraud. The day of the hearing arrived. I dressed carefully. A navy suit, pearl earrings, sensible shoes. Professional, competent, unshakable. David met me outside the courthouse. "Remember, stay calm. Answer questions directly. Don't let them bait you." "I won't." We entered the courtroom. Derek and Vanessa were already there with their attorney. A different one, a woman in an expensive suit who looked like she ate souls for breakfast. Derek looked sick. Vanessa looked predatory. The judge, a middle-aged black woman named Judge Williams, called us to order. She reviewed the petition, then looked at me over her reading glasses. "Mrs. Barrett, do you understand why we're here today?" "Yes, Your Honor. My son and daughter-in-law are claiming I'm incompetent to manage my own affairs." "And how do you respond to that claim?" "I respond that it's false, malicious, and motivated entirely by their desire to control my assets." Derek's attorney stood. "Your Honor, Mrs. Barrett has exhibited erratic behavior, cutting off contact with her only family, making sudden changes to her estate plan, closing accounts her son had access to." "Had unauthorized access to," I interrupted calmly. Judge Williams raised a hand. "Mrs. Barrett, you'll have your chance. Continue, counsel." The attorney laid out their case. I listened, stone-faced, as they painted me as a confused elderly woman making rash decisions. Then it was our turn. David presented my medical records. Dr. Patel's letter. The cognitive test results showing I scored in the 95th percentile for my age group. Then he dropped the bomb. Your Honor, we'd like to introduce evidence that this petition is not filed in good faith, but rather as retaliation for Mrs. Barrett discovering financial abuse. He submitted the bank records showing the unauthorized transfers, the documentation of Derek being added to my account without my consent. Derek's face went white. Vanessa's attorney scrambled. Your Honor, this is outside the scope. This goes directly to motive, David countered. When Mrs. Barrett discovered her son was stealing from her, she protected herself. That's not diminished capacity. That's common sense. Judge Williams studied the documents, her expression unreadable. Then she looked at Derek. Mr. Barrett, did you access your mother's account without her permission? Derek opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Vanessa. Mr. Barrett, I asked you a question. I thought I was helping her. She's getting older, and I wanted to make sure. Did she give you permission to access the account, yes or no? Not explicitly, but yes or no, Mr. Barrett? His shoulders sagged. No, Your Honor. And did you transfer money from her account to yours? Small amounts, just to cover expenses I was handling for her. Did she ask you to handle these expenses? Silence. Mr. Barrett? No, he whispered. Judge Williams turned to Vanessa. Mrs. Barrett, the younger Mrs. Barrett, are you aware that what you've described is a textbook case of financial exploitation of an elder? Vanessa's composure finally shattered. She's his mother. He has no right to her money without her consent. None whatsoever. The judge's voice was ice. And filing a frivolous guardianship petition as retaliation? That's abuse of process. She turned back to me. Mrs. Barrett, the senior Mrs. Barrett, I've reviewed your medical records. I've read your attorney's submissions. I see no evidence whatsoever that you lack capacity. In fact, I see a woman who discovered she was being victimized and took appropriate legal action to protect herself. Relief flooded through me. This petition is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering Mr. Derek Barrett to repay the $3,000 he transferred from his mother's account, plus interest. Mrs. Barrett, you may also wish to consider filing a police report, though that's entirely your choice. Or, she fixed Derek and Vanessa with a hard stare. Let me be very clear. If you file another frivolous petition against Mrs. Barrett, I will hold you in contempt and sanction your attorney. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Derek mumbled. Vanessa said nothing, her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might crack. We're adjourned. The gavel fell. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Derek tried one more time. Mom, please. I turned to face him fully. David stood at my shoulder, a silent guardian. Derek, you had every chance, every opportunity to do the right thing, and at each turn you chose greed. You chose Vanessa. You chose to lie, to steal, to try to have me declared incompetent. I was desperate. You were greedy, there's a difference. Vanessa appeared beside him, her mask completely gone now. Enjoy your victory, Margaret. Enjoy dying alone with your money, because that's all you'll have. I'd rather be alone with my dignity than surrounded by people who see me as a bank account, I said evenly. David handed me a folder. Mrs. Barrett, these are restraining order documents. If you'd like to proceed, I can file them today. Derek's eyes widened. A restraining order? Against your own son? If necessary, yes. I looked at the papers. For a moment, I hesitated. This was the final door closing, the final bridge burning. Then I remembered the text. The stolen money. The courtroom lies. File them, I told David. Vanessa let out a sound like a wounded animal. You bitter, vindictive. Enough, David said sharply. You need to leave, now. A security guard appeared, attracted by Vanessa's raised voice. Is there a problem? No problem, I said. These people were just leaving. Derek looked at me one last time. I tried to find some remnant of the boy I'd raised in his face. I couldn't. Goodbye, Derek, I said softly. They left. Vanessa stormed ahead, Derek trailing behind like a ghost. I stood in that courthouse hallway, 78 years old, and felt something shift inside me. The weight I'd been carrying, the guilt, the doubt, the fear, it lifted. "Are you okay?" Patricia asked. She'd been in the courtroom, witness to everything. "I'm free," I said. Over the next month, the restraining order was finalized. Derek was prohibited from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of my property. He repaid the $3,000 through his attorney, not a word of apology included. I also learned, through Jennifer's continued research, that Derek and Vanessa's marriage was crumbling. Apparently, without the promise of my inheritance, Vanessa had lost interest. She'd been seen around town with another man, older, wealthy, recently widowed. Derek had served his purpose. Now she was moving on. I felt a pang of sympathy for him. Just a pang. He'd made his choices. I made mine too. I sold the house. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a beautiful condo in a retirement community by the ocean, active adult living, they called it. A place full of people my age who gardened and played cards and went to book clubs and lived. I donated $100,000 to the library in Thomas's name. They named a reading room after him. At the dedication, I cried. Good tears, healing tears. I established the scholarship fund. Every year, 3 students would receive full tuition to college. Students who, like Derek had once been, deserved a chance. And I lived. God, how I lived. I took painting classes. I traveled to Italy, to France, to places Thomas and I had always planned to see. I made new friends. I volunteered. I wrote a memoir, not about Derek, but about my life, my teaching career, the students I'd loved. On my 70th birthday, Patricia threw me a party. 50 people came, friends, former students, neighbors from the condo. We ate and drank and laughed. Not one of them was related to me by blood. All of them were family. 2 years later, I was thriving beyond imagination. My oceanfront condo became my sanctuary. Painting classes, yoga, book club, library volunteering. My calendar overflowed with joy. I'd even started seeing Frank, a retired engineer. We enjoyed concerts and beach walks without pressure. "Losing Derek freed you," Patricia observed one afternoon. She was right. While I flourished, Derek's life crumbled. Vanessa divorced him, married a wealthy 72-year-old. Her pattern repeating. Derek lost his job, moved to a small apartment, struggled financially. He sent one letter apologizing, asking to reconnect. I didn't respond. My scholarship fund awarded its first grants, 3 brilliant students, fully funded. Meeting them, seeing their hope, I understood true legacy. When Derek had a car accident without insurance, Patricia asked if I'd help. "No," I said firmly. "He needs to face consequences." I couldn't save him. I could only save myself. And let me tell you what I learned. Love yourself enough to recognize when love is weaponized against you. Being a good mother doesn't mean accepting abuse. That's not love. That's martyrdom. Your peace is worth more than anyone's approval. When I stopped providing money, Derek's interest vanished. That told me everything. Family is who shows up for you, not who shares your DNA. Patricia, my friends, my community, they're my real family. It's never too late to choose yourself. I'm thriving more at 70 than I did at 50. Here's my question. What would you do? If your child valued your money more than your well-being, how would you respond? You deserve dignity. You deserve peace. Don't let anyone, especially family, take that from you. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go live yours.